is Mark Carney pushing billions in public funds into green projects to boost corporate profits over taxpayers. Canada has spent $8 billion on green initiatives since 2021, while prices have climbed 4.7%. Is your money bankrolling corporate giants?
We need to do a few things. First is to turn billions of public capital into trillions of private capital by scaling blended finance as appropriate, catalyzing standalone private capital flows, and building new markets.
That's Carney at the G20 in 2021, pushing billions of public capital to unlock trillions for private firms. He's talking global multilateral banks. But now, as our newly elected Prime Minister, he's on a spending spree with Canada's $8 billion green budget. While his former company, Brookfield, is poised to profit hugely from green deals, your tax dollars are hard at work, making them rich.
Orders of magnitude need to change. We have needs that are measured in the trillions, flows that are measured in the tens of billions at best. And I would suggest that a rule of thumb for climate finance is to concentrate on initiatives that have the prospect of catalyzing at least 50, ideally $100 billion of flows per year of investment flows to emerging and developing economies.
Carney's talking about trillions in climate finance, with 50 to 100 billion flowing yearly to developing economies. That's a massive scale. And he's vague on where the public money comes from. Is Carney's plan pulling more from your taxes to fund these global flows, while firms like Brookfield cash in?
This enormous $100 trillion transition that needs to happen over the next 3 decades, they're going to finance it, and they're going to mark their own homework. They're going to show up year in, year out, say what their emissions are of their clients, have specific strategies for reducing carbon, fair share of 50% down by 2030.
Carney says private firms will finance $100 trillion transition, and get this, mark their own homework. That's self-reported emissions with no clear oversight. With Canada's energy prices up 4.7% since 2021. Taxpayers are funding a system where corporations like Brookfield set their own rules. The Fraser Institute warns green subsidies often favor big business.
That's what the Glasgow Financial Alliance is all about.
Why not stop actually putting money into fossil fuel, full stop, instead of talking about the transition?
Well, we're living through problems with the transition right now in terms of we have both far too many fossil fuels in the world. We're going to have enormous stranded assets, half of gas, 3/4 of coal, etc. Maybe up as much as half of oil reserves, proven reserves, need to stay in the ground if we're going to get to where we are.
Carney admits the green transition's messy. Fossil fuels just can't stop, citing stranded assets and energy shortages. But his Glasgow Financial Alliance, or GFONS, pushes net zero while keeping some fossil fuel financing. Mixed signals? Firms like Brookfield invest in both green and fossil fuels, and they benefit while you pay higher energy costs.
GFANS, it was created to help meet those needs. It currently brings together over 250 financial institutions responsible for well over $80 trillion of assets. It's anchored in the COP's Race to Zero. It's the gold standard for financial sector commitments to sustainability.
Carney's touting GFONS with 250 firms controlling $80 trillion, including Brookfield, where he's a former top executive. He calls it the gold standard. But who's watching these giants? Canada's $8 billion green budget could be feeding into these massive private funds.
100 to 150 billion a year, and can be that by the middle of this decade. And the capital flows are from companies in advanced economies for projects that would be overwhelmingly located in emerging and developing economies, potentially with significant co-benefits for biodiversity.
Carney's pushing a $100 to $150 billion carbon market, mostly for projects abroad. Sounds green, but these markets are big business for firms like Brookfield. With Canada's Green Taxpayer tab, we're funding corporate profits. The Fraser Institute says green subsidies often lack transparency, favoring big players. Billions in public capital, 100 trillion private funds, and carbon markets. Carney's plans are massive, and his Brookfield ties don't help. With Canada's green taxpayer spending and prices up 4.7%, it's your money. Subscribe for more news that affects your wallet and hit the thumbs up button. I'm Glenn Zacher. I'll see you next time.